So, hi, and a very good evening to all of you. I am super excited today. Last month, we launched our Dolphin Tank, which is our startup incubator, where we are going to be actually working on bright young minds with innovative ideas through the India Network setup, which is an accelerator program, tried and tested. I am delighted that for the first time, we have all the youngsters here who are all in their teens and 20s, and they have these bright ideas to make that difference and have a huge impact on the society. I think first and foremost, my gratitude to Ms. Sonal Mehta, who is part of the Resurgent leadership. And not just that, she is the Vice President North for NAREDCO MAHI. NAREDCO MAHI, as you all know, is a group of, NAREDCO is a group of 11,000 builders and developers, and MAHI is the women's wing. We are working towards gender integration and various other causes. And for North India, Sonal takes the lead. She's a full-time mother as well, besides being a financial wizard. And with Resurgent, she's their senior vice president. She is very high on both initiative and communication. These are her two superpowers. And this, of course, is her seventh talk. She has done a lot of Startup Friday talks for us. And this one is part of our knowledge series, the second in a row, which we initiated this year in 2024. I would also like to welcome Ms. Manasvi Abhekele. I am so impressed with Manasvi. Not only is she a BSc in economics from MIT Pune, she's also a gold medalist and a topper. He is an MS in investments and finance from Queen Mary, University of London. He's the founder of Kyozon Hotels. I hope I've pronounced it right. My Hostel Rooms. And in a few months, she's already got a whole lot of rooms up and running. And she is working ferociously for the cause of orphans as well as animal rescue. These are two areas very dear to her. I would like to welcome the only gentleman on this call, Mr. Adarsh Kumar. He's a teen wonder kid. At 16, when people are still deciding and trying to figure out what they want to do, he already made it big. Congratulations, Adarsh. He's the founder of Skillzo.co, and he comes from Bihar, where we all know how few the resources are. He believes that education is the most important thing in life for everybody, and he is trying to spread that. More from him during the discussions. My heartfelt gratitude to Shivani Agarwal, who out of her busy schedule took out the time to be here. She is the COO for Signature Sattva Infratech Private Limited. I have had the good fortune of going on study tour with her to Vietnam. Not only is she a brilliant girl, but she's also a very amazing, compassionate individual. She's a graduate from Singapore Management University in finance and strategy. And she has been also associated with a lot of startups, Helpling, Rocket Internet, a lot of VC firms. She's been a finalist in the Unilever Future Leaders, and that too in 2017, when she would have probably been straight out of school, I'm guessing. Ms. Shrishti Patel, Sangvi, actually, I see Patel there, but Sangvi, she's the project and marketing head for Sangvi Smile Properties. She's the owner of Smile Shelters. She is a wizard in project execution, development, marketing. She's worked with some of the famous architects, Talatis, and various others, which she will share. Before getting into Smile Shelters, she has the experience with Color Codes, with Alsorg, with StoneX India, and so much more. A big round of applause for all of you, and thank you so much for being a part of our Knowledge Empowering series here today. And we are really looking forward to listening to all of you. Me, as you know, I'm Dr. Ananta Singh Raghuvanshi. I'm the president and founder member for NAREDCO MAHI. And nothing gives me more joy than to see that our industry is in such brilliant hands going forward. And Sonal in the driving seat, taking the startup incubator for NAREDCO MAHI and for India Network forward. And of course, Rahul might not be on this call, but my gratitude to Mr. Rahul Narvekar for giving us this brilliant idea. And yes, I take full credit for coining the term dolphin tank. So over to the dolphin tank. God bless you all. Thank you. Sonal, please, it's all yours.
Thank you so very much, Ananta ma'am, for a brief introduction about all of us. And I must say that nothing of this would have been possible without the support from you and the complete Mahi team. So all the initiatives that we've been taking up would have been possible only with the support that we've been getting from your side. So thank you so much for always being there with us. So I would just like to start the discussion on this right now. I right now have one startup founder and three Gen Next founders that we're talking about, or entrepreneurs that I talk about right now. So generally, there has always been a discussion between challenges that a startup founder and the Gen Next generally faces. All of them have their own ups and downs. For example, a startup founder has to start from the scratch, whereas, a Gen Next has some legacy which they are carrying on right now. But on the other side, when you talk about a Gen Next or any of the existing or a new entrepreneurs who are coming up, taking the legacy to the next level, don't have the liberty of flexibility. Matlab, if the company has a culture or a system which is in place, so when a Gen X comes in, they want to make some changes to it. So it's not that easy. Whereas, when a startup wants to do any changes, he has all the liberty to do from the scratch. So I would say, both have their own plus and minus, but the only thing common among them is that they want to be entrepreneurs, which is very, very commending. And secondly, their passion for growth. So here I would like to welcome all my panelists here and the speakers here for a wonderful session. So welcome guys, and I'm looking forward to an amazing session with all of you. So to begin with, I would just like to start with Adarsh first of all. Adarsh is the founder of Skillzo. So, basically he's 17 years old right now, and this is his fourth startup. And, people generally who come to know about his age take back that, 17 years old and doing his fourth startup right now, but that's what Adarsh is all about. So, Adarsh, my first question would be to you. What inspired you to create Skillzo, and what challenges did you face in establishing this as a community?
Sure, sure. First, thank you so much to Ananta ma'am, you and Smita ma'am for having me. It's honor. It's my honor to be here. And as Ananta ma'am told that I come from Bihar. तो जब आप बिहार से होते हो आपको लगता है कि आपको अपॉर्चुनिटीज नहीं मिल रही, आपको रिसोर्सेज नहीं मिल रहा. So you always feel that you're lacking something, this, that, and sort of things. And when in 2022 I moved out of my house, I saw my peers here in metro cities like Delhi, or where they're in Bangalore or somewhere. They're facing the problem where they're not getting the exposure, because they're seeing the generation ahead of them 10 years that they're leaving their job, and they're thinking that their degree is not helping. So at that time, seeing my peers facing that problem myself, I thought that we need to do something that empowers the next generation and helps them be future ready. And that's why I started Skillzo. And at Skillzo, our basic aim is to help people learn skills and help them getting exposure, experience, and networks. And we do that by doing regular master classes, workshops, like we are doing this. And if we talk about the challenge when we work with school students, they're in a certain system which we already have in India. So it's very rigid, and so the part that the Indian education system is unfortunately not flexible, and that becomes a very big challenge for us to whether it's just sorting some sort of timeline for their some program we are doing. So sometimes their examination is coming, sometimes the school says this is not fruitful for you, you just need to focus on the marks. So just aligning with the current system we have, and the thing which we're trying to do is a very big challenge for us, and this is what we're trying to as of now solve.
No, very good, Adarsh. I think, I personally feel entrepreneurship and communication as such, and life skills are very important things which has to go into schools as a part of the curriculum. Some of the schools have started initiating that, but I think there are a lot of more schools who need to work on it, because these are the basic things a child has to learn, and probably this would help them going future. So I don't say that marks and books don't count, but it's more of your life skill, more of your communication skills, which would help them make a complete individual. So
Yeah.
I think you guys are doing a wonderful job on that. Okay. So next, I would like to come to Shivani. Shivani is the CEO of Signature Satwa. So Signature Satwa is basically into the real estate side, and Shivani is a woman in real estate, which generally is not a very common scenario or a very common combination. So would love to understand from Shivani that what are the some common challenges you've observed in real estate industry, and especially from the operations and the financials part of it. As a woman, when you're talking about leading a real estate company, what are the various challenges you face from the operational side, from the financial side? Because generally लोगों को लगता है कि women cannot manage finances or women cannot manage real estate as a sector. So your perspective, what are the various things that you've been facing through?
Thank you, Sonu, for that question. Thank you so much, Ananta ma'am, for the wonderful introduction. I feel that as a woman in real estate, particularly when it comes to finance and operations, first I'll talk about finance. So my major was finance, and it's always been something I absolutely love doing. And initially, and finance is a constant need in real estate, like you constantly need capital. So initially, I think when I started going to presenting banks to financial institutions, they were a little taken aback because of my age, because of my gender. But I think once they see that what your skill is, and they see that you're ready to bring in a level of transparency to the industry, to the process, I think I think like NBFCs or be it banking systems, they become more amicable to the process, so much so that now I feel that most of our consultants or NBFCs, I'm their first point of contact now, even before anybody else in the organization. So there's that comfort that I think as a woman that we can bring, because we can bring that transparency, that honesty to the process. And if we talk about operations certainly is a little bit more challenging because it's a very traditional industry. So the staff that has been there in place, who have 20 years, 30 years of experience, and they've been doing what they've been doing really well. When you're talking to them, and you're so young and obviously you have got a lot to learn, so they're not so receptive to the ideas. So that somewhere initially presented a challenge, but I think that's also an opportunity for us to grow, that slowly we can systemize more things in this industry. Slowly we can make it more digitized, so that it becomes easier also for maybe other women to enter the industry, or maybe if construction itself is a little bit more systemized. And construction was a very steep learning curve for me. So, so as I learned more and more details of it, I realized that gender has very little to do with the actual process, and the more details you can go into, the more systemized you can make the process, you can help the industry that much more. Yeah.
Great, wonderful. So, Shivani, that's what, I was about to come to the question again on that, said sometimes age plays a role here. So, primarily, when you're talking about especially people who've been in the industry for so long and they suddenly see a young girl coming, sitting on a management position. So, how do you take charge of things? How do you make sure, that the work is managed, or the discussions that you do with them are taken care? So sometimes, that seriousness is not there among people just because they see a young girl sitting across the other table.
I think like one thing I've learned like really throughout is patience and politeness. I think they go a long way. Because see, everybody is elder to you, so you have to treat everybody with that respect. And it's a little binging. I will not Like there's no way to sugarcoat it. But I think like if you're very patient and polite, like you're able, and if you're very clear in your head. So I always try and do prep work before the meeting, so I know what I'm saying, and if, not very out of context, ready to listen to other people. So I feel once they say, okay, we're being heard and we're a part of the team and we're not being challenged, I think that really helps people sort of find that comfort zone around you.
Actually, I really think, it's more of working as a team rather than working as a leader. So, the more
Yeah.
you get involved with people, rather than, putting your thoughts to them, asking them for opinions or asking them for suggestions. So that will make them more comfortable as, that we are working as a team. So it's more of an involvement and a team, I think, which counts when you are talking about ecosystem. I think that's a great one.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, great. So next, I would like to go to Srishti. So Srishti is coming in from an interiors background as such. She's worked with a lot of interior designers, and currently, she's also been working on her own startup as such. So, my question to her would be, as a project and a marketing head at Sangvi Smile Properties, what are the biggest challenges you face?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Sonu. Thank you so much for the introduction. So, as a next gen, especially in the real estate industries, the major challenges that I face are obviously related to my gender. I mean, it's very difficult. It's especially in the areas that I live in. It's a very traditionally operated business model. It's still not as organized, and people still go through channels where they know other people and they trust other people. So there have been many instances where I work with my father-in-law who's in construction, and my husband is not a part of the real estate work. Like he's in a completely separate manufacturing vertical. But if he were in the office and we're all sitting in the room together, he's more likely to be addressed by everybody else, like if the vendors or clients, like before they speak with me, because they think he's the person in authority after my father-in-law, just because he's a man, even though he's not directly related to the work as such. So it irks me sometimes a little, but then once they know that you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, and you understand your work, and you have an authority and understanding over what you're doing. So it takes a little time to gain that trust and confidence. But yeah, the major challenges have been related to the gender.
Yep, I'm sure, but I think, with the work and, like you rightly said, your work speaks. So I think, the kind of work which you've been putting in right now and the kind of experience that you carry, I'm sure, these things will be taken care sooner or later. But like I said, it takes time to get things into flow. Great, wonderful.
Exactly.
So my next question would be to Manasvi. So Manasvi is basically managing director for My Hostel Rooms. So My Hostel Rooms is again a very different concept where they provide hostel rooms to students. So Manasvi here, how do you foresee the future of accommodation services evolving, and how's My Hostel Room adapting to these changes?
Yeah. Firstly, thank you for having me here today. And hi, Ananta ma'am. Good to see you. So I like to talk about the past before I talk about the future. In the past, especially in your generation, Sonal ma'am, your generation, it used to be like people used to come from the rural areas to the urban areas mostly for education. And your necessities weren't much. All you needed was just one room, maybe a mattress, a bed, a cupboard. That's all. Those were your necessities. Today, our generation is completely different. Wi-Fi is one of our necessities. Spacious rooms, ventilation, TV, all of these things have become necessities for this generation. And that's what my hostel room is providing right now for the current students. So this is how it has evolved from your generation to our generation. Now, as you all must be knowing, PM Modi is encouraging people to get married within the country and not go abroad for destination weddings. So I foresee a a parallel thing in case of education as well. He will encourage everyone to study within India and not go outside. Or at least he'll bring the international institutes to India. And this will eventually increase the demand for student housing in this country. Now, the necessities of this third category, which is the students who wanted to go abroad, but now they are going to stay in India, is going to be completely different. They will have the willingness to pay more, and they will also have the capacity to pay. Hence, they'll need more things. Their wants and desires are going to be much more than what current hostel providers are providing. So maybe there's going to be, if whatever I said right now happens, then maybe there's going to be a shift from premium category to luxurious segment. And that's how this market will evolve. And that's how maybe my hostel room will also get into this luxurious segment and provide luxurious things to those students who have stayed back in India instead of going abroad.
All righty. Yeah, I completely understand. And I think, since education side, when you're talking about India has the best of the education, the best of the faculties that you talk about. But sometimes, students plan to go abroad just from the infrastructure space and if that accommodation and infrastructure can be taken care, I think that's really going to be a big boom for Indian education sector that we talk about. So currently also when you talk about like all the bigger colleges that you talk on, be it IIT or other medical colleges that you have, whatever is available is inside the campus. So it's like, कि ठीक है अगर आपको campus में hostel room मिल गया, the things will be taken care. But the moment you walk out of the hostel, so it's like, in case you're not getting a hostel room, outside PGs have no facility. It's like,
outside PGs, like the current PGs or the unorganized hostels and PGs, they are absolutely horrible.
Absolutely. So I think, if you guys can take care of that as a sector, then it's a lot of work which can be done. And I think education can absolutely be taken care by the parents, by the students as well. So we would really look forward to more of student rooms and hostels coming in to support the sector. Great. So I will again go back to Adarsh. Reflecting on your journey as a founder of Skillzo, what do you consider your biggest learning in leading a community of teams, leaders, and innovators? So I think, most of the people that you've been dealing with would be the age bracket of your age
Yeah.
only.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, for me, the biggest learning in building skills or other, 3 startups that I built has been कि हम हमेशा ना बचपन से होता है कि हमें सब कुछ परफेक्ट चाहिए, एक परफेक्ट टाइम चाहिए, एक परफेक्ट करियर चाहिए, सब कुछ चाहिए. और अनफॉर्चुनेटली स्टार्टअप में तो कुछ परफेक्ट नहीं है. यहाँ पे रोज इधर कभी आग लग रहा है, कभी उधर आग लग रहा है.
It's a new journey
Yes.
every day. Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur and working with my generation and seeing them, तो वो हमेशा I see कि they're waiting for the perfect opportunity to start. So first thing I believe कि there's no perfect opportunity, no perfect time, there's nothing perfect. And there's a very famous quote by Mark Zuckerberg that and he says that ideas don't come fully formed; it gets clear as we work on them. And it has happened for me all the 4 times I've done a startup, and anyone I've seen closely doing some startup. And the other challenge is that जब भी हम startup बनाते हैं ना, तो हमें लगता है कि हम एक computer science PhD holder होंगे, हम ये tech का product बना लेंगे, हम ये कर लेंगे, वो कर लेंगे. But unfortunately, unlike any job, startup is something जहाँ पे आप क्या जानते हो, किसको जानते हो, उससे ज्यादा मैटर करता है कि आप वो चीज को क्यों करना चाहते हो. So your why, your motivation, and your inspiration. So for me, I believe education changed my life, and now I want to change this world with the power of education. So that has been my motivation, and that keeps me going. Because after a certain point, यार आप क्या करोगे? आप ज्यादा ज्यादा business class में घूम लोगे, इस पे घूम लोगे, and then after that, just an inspiration that keeps you going. So having very clear why, vision, और वो conviction is my learning, and I believe कि अगर आपके पास एक बहुत बड़ा strong और बहुत बड़ा why है, तो आप बहुत बड़ी चीजें फोड़ सकते हो, है ना. And we have a very big example, Ritesh Agarwal. So Ritesh Agarwal is founder of Oyo Rooms, and he's a school dropout. And his competition was people who are IIT graduate, funded by the biggest VC firms. And he, somewhat competitions उनको हटा दिया. He acquired them. So, we see these because his why was very clear. So yeah, I think being consistent, having your why very clear, and not waiting for the perfect opportunity, rather failing 100 times than waiting for the perfect opportunity has been my learning. And I believe कि अगर why clear है तो सब कुछ clear हो जाएगा.
It's so wonderful, something like this coming in from a 17 years old. So it's like, lot to learn. So I think, you're very clear on those basis कि भैया idea होना चाहिए and you have to have a clarity of thought कि ये करना कैसे है. So rest of the things would start falling in place, and it's okay, even if one doesn't work. But if you have decided to be an entrepreneur, and if you think, you have an idea which can rock the world, I think then it's the consistency that matters.
Definitely,
Wonderful.
definitely.
So great.
Sonal, before you move forward, I think just to sum up this beautiful intro that you have done with all of them, there's a quote which completely describes what each one of them I think is going for. It's by T. Alan Armstrong, and he says, "Find your passion, whatever it may be, become it, and let it become you, and you will find great things happen for you, to you, and because of you." So I think a big round of applause. It's been really so lovely listening to all of you and the spaces where you come from and the way your mind thinks. So wonderful. I'm super excited about the next few minutes that we have together. But I think this quote kind of describes, Adarsh, what all of you are thinking and feeling, The human soul on fire is what creates wonderful things. So lovely.
Wonderful quote, ma'am. And I think, perfectly describes all of them like we talked about. So my next one will go to Shivani. So as a young professional, what impact do you have, do you hope to make in the real estate as a sector in India, both professionally and personally? As a sector, what is the impact that you want to create, both professionally and personally?
I think personally, I would definitely say I want to make it a friendlier place for women because, I feel it's a sector where uh, there is a lot of lack of trust, be it from the buyer side, be it from the government side, or the financing sector, as you very well know, Sonal ma'am. I think real estate is one of the least trusted sectors financially. Uh, so, am I audible?
Yes, yes. But
Oh, okay.
your
Yeah.
voice was
Okay.
just cracking
Sorry.
up in between, but it's fine then. Please
Okay.
go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. Yeah. So basically, I feel that I think there are inherent qualities in us as women that like we can bring to this sector. And personally, I feel, like the more inclusive we make this sector, the more uh, like safe we make it like a safe place for women. I think that would really help. And it's not something I see. I don't see like in colleges, I don't see women, taking up real estate courses or things like that. So that is something I definitely want to encourage that, that this is a career you can pursue. It is, financially beneficial, fulfilling because, you're in a very important segment trying to find people the right homes or whatever. So I feel that that is something I really want to do is inspire like younger women to look at it as a viable sector because I think initially from my understanding I think like of maybe 10 years 20 years ago finance also wasn't such a women dominated space. I mean still
Even today.
still is not but it's but I've still seen like women really going towards the finance industry, taking up their degrees in finance, looking for a finance job, whereas real estate is still a very if you ask maybe somebody in college or something like that, real estate is not even a close thought. So hopefully, personally, I would like to encourage that it's a very great sector and a lot can be done here and they're needed here. Um, and the next is I feel like professionally, uh, sustainability is a big thing for our generation uh, as a whole, and it's challenging because I think as a sector we produce a lot of pollution, but uh, but there are a lot of like young people, who are innovating in this sector, trying to constantly keep a track of it. People are making biodegradable cement, self-healing cement, so on and so forth. So there's a lot that people are trying to do, or maybe, they're trying to make zero waste bricks and so on and so forth. And hopefully, as things progress, these things come to light and we are able to integrate it in India as well. uh, because I feel we're a little slow in terms of taking on innovation. So I hope with these sustainable practices, because I think even solar took quite a while to really establish itself in the Indian market. So hopefully, as these new innovations keep coming up, I feel as a sector, it would be really nice if we are able to integrate them at the same pace. Yeah. So those are, I think, two of the big things I see personally and professionally in terms of potential growth for the sector.
No, absolutely agreed, Shivani. I personally think there are a lot of changes which are happening in real estate as a sector. So a lot of new technologies, a lot of new systems which are being introduced, which would hugely impact the sector. And yes, with women like you, or we have Ananta ma'am or Smita, which are a part of the team as women in real estate. So I think, all of you guys are creating very good examples and role models for people and women to join real estate as sector. I think, it's going to be a huge market going future real estate when you're talking about especially housing, when you talk about a lot of work which has been happening. And going I think मुझे ऐसे लग रहा है कि 2-3 साल के अंदर it will also see a lot of more women professionals getting into this sector.
I
The
think
kind
like
of
you, Ananta ma'am, Smita ma'am, like really an inspiration, because I was struggling for the longest time. I was like, oh, who do I look up to? Who do I, because everybody has some sort of a mentor or somebody to sort of follow the path along with. And I feel it's really different for women. So I was constantly struggling with, who do I look for? And now that I found this whole Mahi team, it's like so many wonderful women who are doing just such a great job, and to look up to, and know that okay, you can also do it if they've done it.
absolutely. So it's like more of a teamwork. That's what
Yeah.
we do right now. Great. Thank you so much. And my next question here would be to Srishti. So, Srishti, what strategies have you employed to differentiate Sanvi Smile in a competitive market? Market is huge. There are a lot of competition. I'm sure you've been having from different places. So, what is the strategy which you think would differentiate your company from the others there?
Correct. So as a Sangvi Smile, what we really focus is on what the individual customer needs. Like what would be his needs. As post-COVID, there has been a lot of lifestyle change. There has been a drastic lifestyle change where people were not even aware, like the ones who were working were not even aware about what's going in the house. But the house front has now become a very important environment. Like the place where you live, where you eat, where you sleep has to be technologically integrated. It has to be green. It doesn't have to just be a square box with a bed and a sofa. So as Sangvi Smile, what we really right now are focusing on, we're adding a lot of green to the buildings. So we have a beautiful architect, and in a very small size of a plot, what we have created is a complete green forest look. So the minute you enter the building, when you see the building from outside, you think it's just a small standalone building. But as you keep going up the levels, so we got like beautiful statues from Bali. I personally went to Bali, selected those statues. I was with my architect, and so we have created a haven of green spaces and living spaces. And what we are doing is now, because the new gen has started getting a lot of buying power. पहले क्या होता था, पप्पा दादा के घरों में रहते थे, but now this generation is buying homes by themselves, and they know what technology is, they understand what comfort is. So even in our, let's say, low cost projects, we still try to maintain a standard where our locks are digital locks, our lifts, key cards. So you get that feel that you're living in a very, like, trying to give a 5-star feel to any kind of properties that we are making.
Okay.
So we really focus on amenities. We have a TV room. Let's say there's a cricket match. India is crazy about cricket, and sabhi ke ghar pe jaake baith ke cricket nahi dekh sakte hai. So we have specific entertainment rooms in all our projects with like big couches and bean bags, and there are board games. So we're focusing a lot on giving good amenities and good services to our clients.
That's really fantastic. So I think, ultimately, home is something, which is a favorite place for everybody to get back to after a long day. And, when you can provide all these beautiful facilities at home, and especially, when you're talking about kids, if you can provide them a good infrastructure within the society or within the building, nothing like it. So it's like, there are.
So newer buildings have almost all new buildings have now office space as well for people who are working from
Wow.
home.
Okay.
So our project is that as well. So there's an office space where you can get your laptop. There are separate cubicles because ghar pe kaam karna becomes a little difficult. You can't have a separate room like in Mumbai where there's a lot of space crunch. You can't have a separate office room. Not everybody can afford a room specifically designed for office purposes. So the building itself provides you an office where you can come, you can quietly work.
Very good, yeah. I think, a lot of commendable work which the developers have been doing after the COVID, especially, where they make things so comfortable for people to work from home as well. So I think, very good job which you guys have been doing right now. Great. So next, I would like to come to Manasvi. So Manasvi, what role has innovation played in the ongoing success of My Hostel Rooms? And how do you foster a culture of innovation within your team?
Yeah. Apart from the basic model and the basic idea of my hostel room, um, I'll just give you an example. When I was going for masters to London, I had applied for the later round 2 and round 3 of application, which is why all the student accommodations got filled up. So it was a compulsion for me to book an apartment. So how do I do that sitting in India? So there are a lot of sites, not a lot, a handful of sites on which you can just go and book a room, book an apartment. And then when I went there, I had my keys, I had my agreement, everything was ready, and I just checked in my room. So
Wow.
that's how simple the process was, and it does not exist in India. We have sites like Magic Bricks and No Broker, but not like Dexter's and JLL, which are there in London. So my hostel um, works on the same basis. So technological part is quite innovative with my hostel room. We have a portal on which you can just go and book a room, just like booking.com. But booking.com में क्या होता है? Booking.com connects customers with hotels, but booking.com does not own the hotels. These are our hostels, and anyone from across the world can just go on myhostelroom.com and book a room. And whenever they come to Pune for their studies, whenever the college is starting, they can just check it. So that's how innovation is playing a role in our firm. And when it comes to this culture of innovation within our team, I don't need to look into that because my team, whenever they face any kinds of issues, they find a solution for that, which is quite innovative, and they come to me with that solution. And what I have personally observed is that ये solutions भी अलग startups ही रहते हैं. So for instance, if we are facing problems with biometric locks, which record attendance, then there's a completely different startup for that. Or if we are facing problems with huge electricity bills, then there's another startup which puts sub-meters outside each hostel room. And then students can just pay through that app, like a prepaid mobile recharge. And then they can consume their own electricity. मतलब सेव किया तो लंबा चलेगा, एसी चालू रख के चले गए तो फिर खत्म हो जाएगा, वापस भरना पड़ेगा. So there are different startups, and with us, we are collaborating with all of these startups, maybe EPB, VI, Rent-OK, Icaro. There are a lot of startups which solve our issues, and we are their clients. So it's like this word called symbiosis. They are helping us and we are helping them, and we all together are progressing. So yes, this is how innovation is making a lot of difference currently, especially through technology.
Okay, fantastic. I think, yes, you rightly said it's more of a collaboration. So it's like, the more people you can collaborate with, the more value additions you can do collaborating with people. So it's more, especially for startups. So it's like, rather than putting all your investments there, it's like in case you find somebody to collaborate with, to work with, who can value add with the system. So I think that's a great opportunity to work on. Great, wonderful. So coming back on Adarsh again, what strategies do you employ to engage and retain members within the Skillsgrow community? So it's like, I'm sure hiring and leaving continues. So it's like the same challenge which everybody faces. But startups में ज़्यादा issues होते हैं because, people join and they are, the promoters are not able to retain them. So what are the various strategies and the challenges that you've been facing here?
See, as you know, running a community, first, I really agree to the point that, the hiring is a very big challenge these days because everyone I'm meeting is looking for someone to join them. क्योंकि
And
अगर किसी
especially
को
startups में बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. So it's like,
Yes.
because startups generally are a small team. So it's like, hiring और निकलना भी मतलब exit भी बहुत जल्दी हो जाता है. So in a
Yes.
startup, it is difficult.
Is it?
Adarsh, we can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Can you
I
please?
can hear you now. Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Yes, so
Yes.
yeah, I actually, agree to the point that startups में बहुत बड़ा problem है, and when एक employee जब छोड़ के जाता है, तो it's not only employee or a team member, it's the whole training जो सब कुछ साथ में resources जाती है. But और sometimes कभी किसी को अच्छा ऑफर मिल गया, तो कभी कुछ मिल गया, तो कभी कल्चर पसंद नहीं आ रहा, तो कभी कुछ नहीं आ रहा है. तो when जब कंपनीज होती थी, जब इंडस्ट्रीज होती थी, तो सब लोग पैसे के लिए काम करते थे. रोटी कपड़ा मकान उस वक्त का चैलेंज था. बट आजकल हमारी जनरेशन का चैलेंज इज नॉट रोटी कपड़ा मकान. आप हमें कितना इंपॉर्टेंट फील कराते हो,
हाँ.
है ना? आप हमें कितना इंपॉर्टेंट फील कराते हो, आप हमें कितनी इज्जत देते हो. हाउ हैप्पी यू मेक मी, not how much money you give me. These are the secondary things that they are now looking up to. So making sure in any organization we have very great culture. So the culture is the key here. This is what I have learned, working with people is कि culture is the key here. तो अगर आप जितना अच्छा culture बना पाओ, है ना, the more happy, so focusing on their happiness quotient, then technicalities की इतना salary होना चाहिए, इतना वो होना चाहिए, making sure that burnout नहीं होना चाहिए. Because अभी recently Narayan Murthy sir was famous for saying कि youngsters को 18 hours काम करना चाहिए, वो करना चाहिए. But there were a lot of backlashes on this kind of things. सबकी अपनी perspective है. मैं तो मानता हूँ कि 8 घंटे काम करना चाहिए. That's my thought. But I still believe कि सबका नहीं हो सकता. सबको break भी चाहिए, वो चाहिए. So I can't expect my team members or everyone to work 18 hours just because I expect myself. Because again, उनका why अलग है, उनका motivation अलग है, मेरा motivation अलग है. So I think again I would say culture is the key. तो मेरा हमेशा से ये रहा कि कल्चर अच्छा बनाओ, सबकी अपनी अपनी नीड्स है. एंड जस्ट बिकॉज कुछ चीजें आपको अच्छी लगती हैं, वो सामने वाले को अच्छी लगे, ये जरूरी नहीं है. एंड इट्स द बॉस कल्चर इज नो मोर. इट्स नॉट, आई मीन यू कांट बी द बॉस एनी मोर. अगर आपको कुछ करना है तो आप बॉस नहीं हो सकते.
और
आपको
स्टार्टअप
टीम
में तो
प्ले
बिल्कुल भी बॉस नहीं हो सकते क्योंकि you have to manage your
100%.
team. You
बिल्कुल
have
नहीं.
to
अगर
manage your team.
yes,
And
yes.
these days, there is a culture, the culture quotient has been so actively being discussed everywhere. So I think, I was discussing with Rahul the other day where he was mentioning कि आजकल मैं interviews लेने जाता हूँ, तो लोग मेरे को आके पूछते हैं कि आपके यहाँ पे culture क्या है? The students come back and ask me that what is the culture of my organization?
Yeah,
So that plays
even
a
me.
very
Wow.
important role.
Yeah. I've been to so many MBA colleges, तो वहां पे लगता है कि हमारा इंटरव्यू हो रहा है, हम इंटरव्यू नहीं ले रहे, हमारा इंटरव्यू हो रहा है. एंड दिस इज व्हाट ही आल्सो फील्स. ठीक है, तो आई मीन बट या दिस इज हाउ इट इज एंड इट इज गुड. मेरे को लगता है सही है, उनको अपना हक मांगने का हक है, तो ठीक है.
Absolutely. मतलब, especially,
So have any of you seen this movie Upstarts? It's about startups.
Yes, yes.
You've seen it. It kind of covers all aspects which you just mentioned, about being valued. I think the three friends start a startup and they have different skills, and it's all so organized and so wonderful till the funds come. And at that point, everybody wants to have their voice, and the minute you're not valued, you move away. So I think whether you call it culture or whether you call it anything, but the fact is we are dealing with people, and
Yeah.
people are yes, reason driven, but by and large you cannot neglect the emotional aspect of it at all. So I think that's a beautiful thing, that youngsters who are being hired are actually asking you those questions. I don't think we had the luxury, Sonal.
Absolutely no. It's like, the first interview I remember was, probably was very typical, very formal kind of an interview that we've had, the first interview that we're talking about. But today, if I have to take an interview, the kids are so comfortable. It's like, they cross question you, they ask you so many things about the organization, the scope that they have to cover, and what are the timings that they have to cover, everything, and what is the infrastructure that you have. So like Adarsh was talking about, कई बार हमें लगता है हमारा इंटरव्यू हो रहा है.
Yes.
So,
From a period where fitting in and adjusting with an organization's culture was a aspect which was very important, which I think talent acquisition people were looking for, to a space where all of us today look for originality, creativity, and the courage to be vocal. So I think it's a beautiful shift.
Yeah.
absolutely. Wonderful. So it's like the kind of quality of the people also which are coming in right now are way ahead than what we were, be it in the form of technology or be it in the form of communication, their understanding, their analytical skills. They're very well groomed as compared to what we started off with. Great. Perfect, Adarsh. So next I would again go to Shalini, on Shivani, back again from Satwa. What trends in the real estate market do you find most promising for the future growth? And how do you plan to capitalize on them? As a real estate developer, what are the promising future trends that you see? And how does Satwa plan to capitalize on them?
I think some interesting trends that we see is like a bent towards art and culture. Fully as I feel I'm bent towards arts, culture, towards community. So we want to somewhat build a space where they're able to express these and all of us as humans, we have a creative side, and in our properties we really want to make sure that people are able to express this creative side. So of course amenities like Delhi NCR market in itself, there are a lot of like people are doing a lot of amenities, and it's a very I think it's innovating really fast, and it's hard to find a point of differentiation. But I feel overall there is definitely a bent towards art and culture, and definitely community building. So say be it commercial properties, then we would like to give some sort of a community space where people can come relax, where it can be a third space concept, basically, away from your home, away from your work, it's a third space for you. So that's something I feel the commercial aspect can be. And same even when we're looking at our residential properties, I feel uh, I mean, even our generation, we love our facilities, we love our amenities, want to do less. And we are also really focused on our work as a generation now. A lot of people are in double income household. So there's barely any time to, really focus on a lot of housework that earlier people used to be able to take care of. And a lot of people are migrating to Delhi NCR. So we are definitely looking at how we can provide these services to people so that they're able to, focus on their work, and uh, their home is sort of taken care of. So I feel these are the two big trends that we're seeing, art, culture, community, and uh, some sort of services or facilities that make it easier for people to focus on their work. Yeah.
Very well thought on that, Shivani. I think, in today's category, if you're talking about, it's more of an ideal developer kind of a category where, a developer has to take care of the infrastructure also around rather than only his building or his concept that you're talking about, rather than only his project, he only also has to look at the infrastructure around which he can provide. So that is, I think, a primary criteria which any developer has to focus and work on right now. Great. So coming back to Srishti again, can you discuss on any personal and professional growth goals you have set for yourself in coming years, probably next 2, 3 years? Any professional goal, any personal goal that you've set out for yourself?
Yes, like Adarsh rightly said, it's become a lot about culture now rather than just work. So not just time, but I really believe in having a very good and happy workspace because we tend to spend a great amount of our time at the office. We spend a lot of time with the people that we work with more than we do with our families. So it is an aim of mine to take this very unorganized sector where everybody is just about numbers and work and just like want them to know that, the priority is now even about what your emotional health is, how you're feeling when you're working. I try to contact my vendors in a very respectful manner. Like it's not all just on sheets, it's not just all numbers. It's very important to give
Srishti, sorry, your voice is cracking up.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can hear.
So even with the projects that we make, we ensure that we use really high quality materials, not just the aesthetic parts, but even while the project is being made. So quality and good vibes are an aim that I try to achieve, and that would be something that I plan on doing to be like a different name in the industry because it's really important to be working with good people to be having good products.
Great. Fantastic. Okay, so now I think, just the last question to all of you, which I'll take up with one on each with you guys. So Manasvi, to begin with you, reflecting on your journey so far, what do you consider your biggest learning as a young entrepreneur?
So it's been just 6 months. I'm still a kid like
Can't
others,
figure out. Right.
but I've okay. So what I've noticed is there are two kinds of people in this business segment. Um, One type is those who reciprocate to what you give to them. So it's like एक को हाथ दिया, so maybe that person will say कि your mehndi is so beautiful. And there's another category of people जिनको आपने अगर हाथ दिया, they'll ask for your shoulder, your head, your legs as well. They start exploiting you. So that's what I've observed in this industry as well. If you become flexible or lenient with somebody, if that person is of type 1, he'll reciprocate to you in future. If he's of type 2, he'll start exploiting you. So that is one of my biggest learnings. I think I should have that superpower to judge people. Are you of type 1 or type 2? And then I can make my flexibility and leniency valid decisions according to that. So that is the biggest learning for me.
I think it comes with experience. So
Sorry?
I think it comes with experience. So
Yeah.
more you
And
will
I
need
think
to
it's in all the segments. Matlab, it comes in case of employees as well. It comes in case of friends as well. थोड़ी flexibility दे दी तो सिर पे चढ़ जाते हैं, ऐसे लोग रहते हैं. So you need to judge people and then you need to take decisions.
as a young founder, I'm sure you need to handle your employees also well. So किसको
Yeah.
कहाँ पे manage करना है. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that will come with experience. Wonderful. Great. So coming back on Shivani, can you discuss on a project or initiative you're particularly proud of and the impact it has created? From the Sattva perspective, any particular project where you think you have worked on and the impact it has created?
Okay. From one thing, I think I had really good support also for this, and I'm a strong believer. There's this quote that, weak body can be carried by a strong mind, but even, a strong body cannot carry a weak mind. So I think mental health has been something that in our company, most of our work is related to our brain power and so on. So, mental health has been something that's been very forefront at Sattva, and within the first 3 to 6 months of anybody joining, we're always encouraging them, to do some meditation courses, yoga courses, and so on. And we try to keep the work culture also very relaxed, like 6:30 is your end time, so 6:30 is your end time. Only very in case of emergencies, if it needs to be stretched. If you're telling me, oh, I'm going to take a meditation retreat for the next 3 4 days, take a holiday, no questions asked. So I think mental health has something that we've really focused on, and something I'm very proud of, that whoever ends up working in the organization always says that this is one of the most relaxed cultures we've been a part of. And because Adarsh was talking about culture, so yeah, I think that's something we have also tried to incorporate here. That the culture, I feel like if the culture is good, if people are relaxed, they're able to produce good outputs. So that is something I'm really proud of. What we have done is to be able to create that culture even in such a traditional industry. Uh, yeah, so that's something that we're really happy about. And even with our vendors or external parties, there's always a constant interaction about all these beautiful spiritual practices that we've been able to inculcate over the, I mean, centuries in our country. So there's always this interaction, that these are some really good practices that you can learn and grow. Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting and a very, very commendable thing. So it's like, Abhi Adarsh was talking about, initially it used to be only roti, kapda, and makan. But now, if you can incorporate mental health or, fitness as a culture within the organization, so I think nothing like it, because apart from the roti, kapda, and makan, I think these two things are very important. The mental health of an employee or his physical fitness, if you can focus on that, encourage them to do that, take breaks on that. So that's something which an organization should, as an organization and as an founder, you should definitely work on that. Very great job.
Yeah.
Okay, so coming back again to Srishti, what strategies do you employ to effectively communicate the value of proposition of Sangri Smile to potential clients and investors?
So, like I said, we are really focusing on good quality products. We're focusing on timely completion of our projects. And we're constantly keeping ourselves innovated as to what the new technologies is. Like, if you must have heard, obviously must have heard of the MyOne technology. So in one of our projects, we're incorporating the technology so that people get a quicker, better product. And what we generally aim to do is we finish off with our amenity areas quickly. So when people are giving the money, they can really see that we are providing everything that we have promised. So this has been a recent trend for all our projects, where all the amenity areas are developed, right from the carom board to the chess board to every little minute detail. The possession is actually a year later, but we finished it, we've signed it off, and we've given it to the client. So now when the channel partners also come with potential clients, they can see, okay, it's all ready, it's all made, it's exactly as promised. And it's always happened that our final product is better than the pictures of the brochures or the 3D views that we put in the brochures. So that is something that people can see, that we tend to our promises and we deliver what we promise.
Absolutely. So I think, commitment and delivery are two things very critical for a real estate developer. And if you guys are able to take care of that, it's nothing like that part of it. My last one to, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, no, please continue.
No, please, you were telling me something. Let's finish with that.
Practice that we always have is we always go through our channel partners. A lot of builders, what they tend to do is like they have their contacts, obviously, but it's strictly just channel partners. So there's a lot of transparency in the business model, and there's a lot of trust that a builder has to build to get potential clients, to get potential investors.
Great, wonderful. So my last one to Adarsh, closing statement from a startup founder to the young entrepreneurs. And I think, nobody better than Adarsh who can do it at 17, giving closing statement to the young entrepreneurs. Please go ahead.
Closing statement, you all are senior to me and you people like you जो मेरे को पढ़ा रहे हैं, समझा रहे हैं, सिखा रहे हैं, तो मैं आप लोगों से सीख के ही आपकी बातें बताऊंगा अभी, ठीक है? So for me, as an entrepreneur, again, the why should be clear, ठीक है? So कोई भी next generation, and see again, for a kid like me who comes from Bihar, उसका why अलग है. For a kid like next gen, उनका why अलग है. But दोनों का why का एक वही है कि सबको कुछ करना है, ठीक है?
कुछ करना है और growth.
कुछ करना है और growth करना है.
So that's what I started my statement with, that, although next gen and startups come from different backgrounds, but ultimately the common thing between both of them is ये कुछ करना है और growth करनी है. So that's what is common between both you guys.
Yes, correct. So, for me, I left my home at the age of 14, ठीक है? तो class 9th complete के मैं अपना घर छोड़ दिया. And आज यहाँ पे जितने hostel rooms की बात हो रही है, so I've lived in Kota, so I know, how important it is to have good hostels and, accommodation, क्योंकि वो struggle हमने देखा है. So for me, my fight was रोटी कपड़ा मकान शुरू में, ठीक है? But I was very clear कि वो रोटी कपड़ा मकान after certain level it will go away, and it has gone away now, thanks to the people, good people I have in my life, thanks to them. So again, मैं लास्ट में हमेशा, क्योंकि कुछ कहने के लिए नहीं कहूंगा, यही कहूंगा कि अगर आपका वाई जिंदगी में क्लियर है तो कोई परेशानी अगेन परेशानियों से शायद भागना हमारी बहुत बड़ी गलती होती है. दिस इज व्हाट आई बिलीव, क्योंकि द मोर वी गो, द मोर वो पीछे पीछे आते रहते हैं. So embracing things we have in life as an entrepreneur or something, whatever profession we are in, not only entrepreneur. So having your why clear, and also this journey as an entrepreneur is a very lonely journey. आप अपनी प्रॉब्लम सबसे शेयर नहीं कर पाते हो, ठीक है? आप अपने इन्वेस्टर्स को नहीं बताओगे क्या प्रॉब्लम चल रहा है, आप अपने एम्प्लॉइज को नहीं बता सकते क्योंकि उनका मोटिवेशन डाउन हो जाएगा, इन्वेस्टर्स को नहीं बताओगे, उनका ट्रस्ट चला जाएगा, फिर अब बताओगे तो किसको बताओगे? सो वो पेन खुद ही सहना पड़ता है रोज, हर एक रात. समडे आई वेक अप एंड लगता है कल को तो मेरा बहुत बड़ा स्टार्टअप बनने वाला है, शाम तक लगता है यार कल रेवेन्यू आ जाए, वही बड़ी बात होगी. So there's a very lot of mood swings which happening every day, each day, at every step of life. तो अगेन यहाँ पे भी आपका वाई क्लियर होना चाहिए, तभी आप वो इमोशन से अप डाउन से हैंडल कर पाओगे, ठीक है? So yeah, this is my take. Have your why clear, find your ikigai in life, and always I think it's now time to look beyond money and think impact first. Maybe this is how I think, and this is what I would like to share and propagate that. Think impact first.
Excellent. Sonal, do I get a closing statement as well?
Yes, ma'am. Please, I would do it after you.
So, Manasvi mentioned that we are just kids, and I saw the beautiful smile on Shivani and Shrishti's face, and Adarsh's eyes go down, that अब मतलब kids हैं लेकिन बहुत brilliant kids हैं. So here I would like to define our startup kids for the first time, the way I feel about all of you kids. K for kinetic, I for intuitive, D for determined, and S for starters. So you are kinetic, intuitive, determined, and starters. And this, I think we should include in our brochure and in our communication as well, Sonal, because that's exactly how these lovely children are. And they're not children because a lot of them actually have 6 to 10 years experience, because they started thinking and dreaming literally in the cradles. So wonderful, and it's been so pleasurable listening to all of you. There's a quote by Oprah Winfrey: passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. And I'm so glad to see that you all are actually doing that. So to Oprah and to all of you, may you achieve the greatest heights that you are dreaming of. And of course, 3 cheers for Mahi, 3 cheers for India Network, and 3 cheers for our dolphin tank. And Sonal, you've been extremely amazing. I sent a message on the group. If anyone has any questions and queries, please shoot. And they said Sonal is covering this so beautifully. So God bless you all. And thank you so much for having me over on this panel with all of you. God bless you.
My closing statement for all these kids would be, a small quote from FIFA, the title song. Look, who we are. We are the dreamers. We make it happen because we believe it. Wonderful, guys. All the very best to all of you. Anybody
Thank you.
who
You
has
all are the
questions?
best.
Thank you so much.
Fine.
Yeah,
So I think we've learned from you, and
super proud of all of you. You guys are doing a commendable job. And trust me, it's like, it was such an amazing session mentoring with working with all you guys for this. And I will really look forward to working with you sometime.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anybody
That would be
has
our
any
honor and pleasure both.
done? Anybody has any questions? Please feel free. How difficult is it to retain an employee at an early stages?
Very difficult.
Okay.
But just to
Very
expand, this is coming from people working in a team where I was not the founder. It's very difficult at the early stage क्योंकि as a founder आपके पास देने के लिए बहुत कुछ नहीं होता है. आपके पास कुछ सपने होते हैं और वो सपने बहुत टूटे फूटे होते हैं. वो आपके ख्याल होते हैं, आपके ख्वाब होते हैं और उनको दूसरों तक समझाना is the most difficult part. But the moment you find people who share the same vision, same again, why everything is why, same why. So finding the same people with the same vision mission is something that helps, and it's really difficult to retain employees at very early stage. And I think we should now you start using the term team member rather the word employee, because that's what builds the culture these days. But I think हर एक problem का एक solution होता है, and that would again boil down to the culture we build in any organization. I think someone can add to this.
Very well said. So it's like, it's your culture of organization which heads people stick to the organization, and it flows from the management. So it's like, ये management से flow होता है. So if you are right, if your thought process is right, it will automatically flow it into the system. What drive you guys to align your objective with new gens joining you? With new generation होगा. What drives you guys to align your objectives with new generations joining? Anybody can answer.
I think I think everybody sort of so I'm assuming that the question is from the perspective of the current management. So I've spoken to my father at length about it. That you're already doing everything so wonderfully, and here we are coming, disrupting and creating chaos. What's the logic behind this? So he said something very beautifully. He's like, if we don't innovate or if we don't bring in these new ideas, we will die. Like there is no other way to survive and it's better to create internal chaos rather than somebody else and coming and pushing you out. So I think that uh, is from what I've understood as a big motivator for people in current family businesses to sort of bring the next generation in. That there is obviously a lot of trust, but also the fact that they do bring in that change, that chaos, that I think most people have the foresight to see that the industries keep changing, trends keep changing. Yeah.
And I personally feel, I think, it's a very right thought that rather than, because growth to karni hai, now how long will an existing promoter keep growing it? So rather than getting it from outside, if, the team can take over internally and take the company to the next level, there's nothing like it. So it's like, it's more of a grooming process. And I'm sure, with the first generation promoters are always there to support. So I agree. It's like, when the next gen comes in, they have their own set of challenges, they have their own set of responsibilities, expectations. But yes, with the support coming in from the first generation, I think, it's a smooth journey which can be taken care. Absolutely. Perfect. Any other questions from anyone? So Greg, I think, then we are in the end of this session, and thank you so much everyone for joining in. And it was a wonderful discussion with all the young kids around, and all the best to all of you.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
us.
you. Thank you, Sonal
Thank
ma'am.
you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Ananta ma'am.
Take care. Bye. See you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonal. Thank you, Shivani, Manasvi, Shrishti, and Adarsh. Wonderful. And thanks to a lovely audience, of course. Thanks.
Yeah, hope to do this again offline maybe sometime.
Very soon.
Yes.
Very soon. We plan an offline thing. Right.
Sure, sure. And hope to see you soon. All of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you everyone. Bye.